Let's quickly give you an update on the markets now. The JSE facing mixed Asian markets on Friday as the number of new COVID-19 cases continue to rise in mainland China, and U.S. markets were closed on Thursday while investors digest the latest interest rate hike from South Africa. The Reserve Bank making that decision here yesterday. Matete Thulare is head of foreign exchange execution at Rand Merchant Bank and joining us now for a quick markets update on how the JSE is performing in early trade. Top of the morning to you, sir. And let's start with the performance of the local exchange, particularly the reaction to the inflation and the subsequent rate hike yesterday.
Good morning, Claudia. I suppose happy Black Friday. Look, I mean, the Rand is just a touch above 17. We are at our strongest level since late August. I mean, if anything, we have been really helped by the news that the Fed may taper its interest rate hikes. I mean, the Fed has also flagged concerns about a possible recession out in the U.S. And if you just look at it on a month-to-date basis, we are the best performing emerging market currency. Just a few weeks ago, the Rand was trading at all-time highs of 2022 at 1858. But don't forget, there is a lot of risk that we are facing in these financial markets, especially as we head into the close of December. I mean, if you think about the 13th of December, we have U.S. inflation numbers. We also have the Fed meeting on the 14th of December, and also the much anticipated ANC's elective conference on the 16th till the 21st of December. But if you just look at the Rand just over, the past 32 years, we find that on average, the Rand tends to weaken in the early part of December before it aggressively rallies into the 20th of December, right into the early part of January. But also we find that at least these gains are around 1.2%. But also, as you say, I mean, much was made of the NPC's rate decision yesterday afternoon, which obviously fed through into the Rand strength as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about what some market watchers or analysts are predicting, and that is another interest rate increase in early 2023. Do you anticipate another rate hike?
If you think about yesterday's 75 basis point increase, I mean, that's the third hike that we've had of 75 basis points, and now this takes us to where we were just prior to COVID. Now, it's the highest level also since 2017, and the decision was largely in line with expectations. But on the balance of the committee, it felt like they were more dovish, with two members already starting to want 50 basis point hikes, and already, the calls for the 100 basis point hikes that we saw at the last meeting really disappearing. Now, Lesetja Kganyago has highlighted the risks to the inflation forecast, which obviously is slightly raised for next year, especially food prices. Now, I think they were really surprised by the acceleration of inflation for October, and they're really looking for clear guidance that we are going to see inflation get to that 4.5%. Now, if anything, it does feel like, at the next meeting in January, we will likely have another interest rate hike. I think at this point in time, we are looking at them hiking by 50 basis points as opposed to 75 basis points. And then after that, it is also the February budget speech by the Minister of Finance. And then we've got another meeting in March from the Reserve Bank. And I think from there, it will be likely in terms of what's happening from a global outlook in terms of the Fed, what's happening in terms of the geopolitical tension, also what's happening, as you said earlier, with regards to the Chinese COVID numbers, whether that will also affect global growth. So quite a lot for Lesetja Kganyago and team to take stock for the next few meetings into 2023.
Yeah, let's talk company news. Woolworths Holdings, this is Holdings Limited, announcing the intention to list on a secondary listing. This is on the A2X. Good news for the retailer and investors alike?
Definitely. I mean, they'll become the 18th company from the JSE's top 40 to list on the alternative exchange. Now, their shares will be available from 2nd of December. I mean, the alternative exchange does offer investors greater access to trading shares, just like Woolworths, and offers opportunities to participate in the ongoing growth and development of South Africa's capital markets. Now, if you think about the alternative exchange, it is saving the investment market about 500 million rand annually. That's thanks to the lower trading fees. I mean, if you look at some of the companies that have went down this road, include the likes of Remgro, Nedbank, Anglo Gold Ashanti, also Discovery. So these are quite big names that are really looking at other forms of accessing the capital market. So I think for Woolworths, it's actually a great step in the right direction.
Yeah, let's conclude the conversation with Twitter, which has lost its last remaining employee in the regulatory hub, which sits in Brussels at a time when it faces increasing scrutiny from lawmakers. Does anyone have any idea what Elon Musk is up to exactly?
Look, I think it's quite an interesting one, because if you think about it, the Brussels office was a key hub for Twitter to engage with the overflow of European regulation, of which much has obviously came into the force in the past few weeks. I mean, the social media platform has long battled perception as it's failed to manage hate speech and disinformation. I mean, if you think about Donald Trump a few years ago talking about fake news, now the collapse of the Brussels team has raised questions about Twitter's ability to enforce new rules that the EU has intended to rein in the power of big technology companies and actually restrict hate speech. Now, the EU's Digital Service Act gives government more power to enforce rules governing how tech companies obviously moderate content and to decide when to take down illegal content. Now, compliance will be complex as we go into next year, and it will also be costly. And I think this is why you're also seeing the headcount at their labor force at Twitter also coming down, but also Twitter and other online platforms will have to add ways for users to flag illegal content and also have enough staff to moderate that content across the EU. So I think it is obviously a juggling act for Elon Musk, and I think it is going to be quite interesting how it plays itself out over the next 6 months as they enforce all of these laws.
Matete Thulare is the head of foreign exchange execution at Rand Merchant Bank. Thank you very much for the markets update.